Good morning, or time zone appropriate greeting. Exactly, Wabbit. Generic time of day to you all. Audio and visual check. Excellent. All right. Greg Gear, holy crap. Andy, Garen, Brosh, Wabbit, in my case. Nice. Adri, howdy. All right, I have a surprise for you guys today. Well, maybe it's not a surprise. I managed to accomplish something between yesterday and today. Let's see. All right, it's 1,500 there in the Netherlands. Excellent. More friends from the Netherlands. Great. All right, I'm just going to make a little noise for a minute and get a few kinks out. This pattern a little bit. Going to test all the voices here. Everything's working. Let's break down a little bit and look at the chat here. So, Adri, PD of CC, nice. Well, welcome. Midiphonic. Let's see. Rich, cool. Eric S. Morning, everybody. Good. All good 24-hour time format. Yes. All right. So, I have a little surprise. Not a surprise. I've got an accomplishment I'm very happy with. I'm going to demonstrate, and it's a minor thing, and a lot of you are probably like, well, I've been doing that for years. I haven't ever done it on modular, so let me show you. I'm going to get a bunch of patterns running all at once here. I'm going to just put too many patterns. I'm going to have 4 of them running all together. going to do. Simple. You hear it? I have the modular following my key changes. Don't put in enough jazz notes here. Fuck up here and there. Let's bring it all down. Gonna pull all out but one pattern. All right. So the matriarch, the note that's swelling up, is transmitting its pitch velocity, its pitch voltage out into a mult, buffered mult, getting split, offset because the Moog's CV is zero, -5 to +5 volts, and I needed to start at 0. Then it's sent to the sequencers, the Metropolis sequencers, scaled appropriately, and then told to add that voltage to the pitch voltage of each step before the quantizer quantizes it to the current key. So all the patterns will follow my playing and stay in key, which is global pitch transposition, which I've been doing in the box for years, but couldn't make work in modular. I know it's a minor thing, and I'm sure people have totally done it, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. I couldn't find anybody who did it and made a video about it. But so now I can do arrangements. I'm really excited about it. I just need a third hand to do the changes with. What I need is a set of organ foot pedals. So Nanoside, I may be hitting you up for how to build some foot pedals. Let's bring these patterns back in, and they'll all follow. So anyway, all right, so yeah, success in key changes. The Gathering of Nerds. Hey, Malthus, the Gathering of Nerds is open. How's the storm? The storm's okay. We got about 6 inches. It wasn't too windy. It's the wind that I was worried about was going to take the power down, and we wouldn't be able to stream. But we're okay. I was out at 5 a.m. shoveling. So many nerds in Luke's room. Yes. Let's see. Bass is good. Yeah, key change is successful. It's not really a key change, but change of the movement of the pattern's tonal center is happening. So that's cool. Ranjit, nice to meet you, or nice to see you again. If I met you before and I've forgotten, I'm sorry. I'm unlike Synchrotron, who remembers everybody by their given first name. I'm really bad about it. I'm sorry. Nice. Okay, Rich, you keep working on that audio interface. So thanks, Garen. Someone is that Cyrillic or Greek? I'm building my first modular and thought, have any tips about Berlin School oriented system that have I made any videos on Berlin School? Well, for modular, I've made a bunch of generic videos that will apply to any sequencers or any when you get to start making music, for sure. So now when I get bored with the pattern running, I'll just change the note that it's running on. So yes, it's Greek. Yeah. Okay, sorry. I saw something that wasn't Roman. It's like, that's either Cyrillic or Greek. I didn't know which. Yeah, I've got a bunch of videos out there on how to approach making Berlin School. But as far as like designing your modular, we could talk about that today. Okay, I'll tell you what I've done, and you'll get we had a discussion the other day what the difference was between ass load and butt load versus fuck ton versus metric fuck ton. So you'll get a bunch of responses in the chat, I'm sure, and we could talk about it. But like what modules and stuff, we'll talk about that for sure. All right. So let me take 3 minutes, make a little noise, and then we can start that discussion. Okay. Nice. All right. Talk amongst yourselves. Hey, Ignis? I don't know an old Ignis. I love the fact that the patterns just follow. It's great. Now I gotta practice the two-hand on actual piano keyboards. I suck at that. That's all right. All right, let's do this. Hang on, let me get my cue running here. Bear with me. I wasn't set to do live looping. Let me set that up. Here we go. There we go. So I keep that running. There we go. We could do a little, it's like the opposite of bass reharmonization. What is this? It's the bass pedal tone. We'll change the patterns over the bass, right? So All right, who said it? Adri. Let's see. Maltus. New Analog J, welcome. Inverted Popes, hey man. That doesn't work as a drone. Let's kill that. Just a stone's throw over the next couple of weeks from now I can do pattern shifts, tonal centers. Now I got to get the key change, the root and mode stuff working. All right, so let me bring this down. Let's talk a little bit about chat-wise. Let's talk about modular for Berlin School, because that was a question. All right, Stephen Schlott. Hey, welcome. All right. Let's see, make sure I'm catching up here. It's a Kraftwerk sequence. It's Berlin School. Kraftwerk's sort of Dusseldorf School, but that's fine. We're not that particular about what city we're in, right? Let's see. Homegrown IP. All right, no new folk that I need to call out. And if I missed you, I'm sorry. It's already scrolled off and reaching over to this. I'm gonna miss it. All right. So let me turn off the metronome clicking in my ear. Let's bring this down. We'll set a little pattern going and we'll talk. And we'll put a little drone behind it. All right. So there's a question. Any advice for what modules to put into a modular for making Berlin School? There's no rules, right? You're going to need something that can sequence pitches. You're going to need some kind of sequencer, right? I have a Metropolix. I like it a lot, but it's a one-stop shop. Like if you go there, you're basically done. It's got two voices, and you only really need one voice to do Berlin School, something to do a pattern repeating figure with. Right, so you could take one pattern. So how do I do Berlin School? I talk about this a lot. If it's boring, guys, I'm sorry. How do I do Berlin School? I take a short repeating pattern. There's a pattern with one note in it. Now it has two notes in it, right? There's three. Let's bring it down an octave. All right. Once you've got that running, you pick a key and you pick notes out of that key, right? If you don't understand what a musical key is, you're going to have to do a little bit of research, right? But a key, a scale, is just a list of notes, right? Generally 7 notes in Western music. You'll pick 7 notes. And you can go online and search for Western scales, right? Popular music scales. From that list of notes, you put them into your sequencer, right? You're going to set the voltages so that the pitch that comes out of your oscillators matches the scale. And you make a small loop that just repeats, okay? I like to layer them. So I'll take 2 sequencers and I'll put 2 small patterns on top of each other, right? So we've got this one, it's 3 notes long. We've got this one. This one's 4 notes long. And when you layer them on top of each other, right? get what's called a bed. And then on top of that bed, you play. And the notes you play are in the same scale, the same key that you did for this. It is not the only way to make Berlin School, right? Because Berlin School is just a bunch of different approaches and techniques for making music. And because I'm making it with synthesizer noises, it sounds a lot like late 70s, Tangerine Dream, Berlin School, right? Or, Scholz, whatever. But you can make it with anything. There's other ways to do it. Drones, right? I like having a drone running in here. Right, I've got my foot on the sustain pedal, so it just keeps going. Right. So modular-wise, you're going to need an oscillator to make noise. You're going to need a sequencer for setting up patterns there. You're going to need all the basics, right? Like a subtractive synth voice is an oscillator, a filter of some kind, a VCA of some kind, some envelopes to control the opening and closing of the filter in the VCA. There's a million videos on that. I'm not going to cover that here because I appreciate that you came and I respect your question, but I'm not going to teach subtractive synthesis, and I don't really want to teach that. I'm not interested in that. There's way better teachers for that than me out there, so go dig. But as far as module selection, if you just want to know, hey, what do I look up on Modular Grid? I like the Metropolix, and I like its younger brother, the Metropolis. 512, the company, it's spelled out 5 and then the numbers 12, makes something called the Vector, very powerful sequencer. You guys in the chat, please suggest things, right? The Make Noise Renee 2, those are nice if you can get all the touchpads to work all the time forever. But you don't need fancy stuff. Behringer makes a very nice 8 or 16 stage step sequencer. That's, I think, $100. Go there, right? Metropolix are expensive, but there are options. Frap Tools, thank you, Synchrotron. Who used that? Someone was selling that. What was her name? Barbary? Yeah, I think you posted something about that the other day, or this morning even. Let's see, what else is in the chat? Katerina Barberi, there it is. Inverted Popes pulled it out. There you go. Behringer 960, 962. Yeah, you have a lot of options. What do I think about the 960? It's perfectly useful. If you want to see someone who does a lot with a sequencer very similar, go look up Gary Hayes. I think it's at Gary Hayes. He's another Berlin School synthesist like us, way better than me. He uses something that I think is a 960 or a 960 derivative thing. It's like 8 stages, 3 tracks of voltages, and he controls one for pitches and one for, I think for ratchets he uses another one for that. There's another Dr. Cynthio. Oh, Dr. Cynthio. Hi. Let's see. But yeah, talk amongst yourselves for that. That's definitely, you have options. I mean, if you go to Modular Grid and just pull up sequencers, a sequencer is pretty much a sequencer. As long as it doesn't drift and it holds the pitch voltage, you're pretty good. And if you check my other live streams, you don't necessarily have to have 32, 64 steps, 16 steps even. An 8-step sequencer is plenty. A 4-step sequencer is actually perfectly fine for Berlin School. This pattern is 3 notes long and 4 notes long. Right, so if you have 2 4-note sequencers, you can do the equivalent of what I'm doing here. So used to, like in the Berlin School realm, not changing not changing the root. So now that I'm doing it, my bass is like, what are you doing? It's like, oh yeah, sorry, I do need to move the root around. We learn new things, and that stretches our capabilities, and we sound like shit for a little while. It's like, oh, I got this new thing that I'm really happy about, but now while I'm using it, I sound really not so awesome. I was very comfortable in my zone. I've just expanded the envelope of what I can do here, and now I'm going to have to practice up and get good at it again. One thing is for Berlin School that I always forget, because I like prog and I like pop music, right? To sort of stay in that Berlin School realm, you really want to make changes like this very, very slowly. So like it's really tempting to start doing chord progressions, right? Just start playing roots. Right. Right, we can... I'm gonna do one for my mom. Right, it's so easy to just fall into, oh shit, I could do like Pachelbel Canon on my Berlin School modular. Whoops, that's it. Watch the viewer count take a dive. Let's see what else we got in here. Caught and Joy uses 3 of the Behringer sequencers. Yeah, they're good. There's something to be said. So like, here's something to think about. Okay, the fancy sequencers like the Metropolix do a lot, but they can't be 104 HP wide. They have to be little, relatively speaking. So they have to hide. They either need to pack it in, which makes it hard to use, especially with my old ham hands here, right? Or they hide it behind modes. So there's all these buttons that when I have to press these buttons and then change what the input, the screen changes and my input options change, right? So in order to make significant changes, I'm sitting here tapping through modes and doing all that. So it's hard to immediately, while you're playing, when you're in the moment, just reach over and crank a knob, right? There are options. You can map things out and use control voltages that plug into it, but it's still not, you can't control all the functions of the sequencer from the panel all the time. On something simple, like the 960 or anything like that, there's no modes. There's nothing behind the panel. It's one knob per function. And that's very powerful for performance. So consider that, right? I'm struggling to figure out how do I get this thing to do what I want from a panel, right? From the panel perspective, or I'm using the keyboard here to send voltages to change it. I'm going to be using offset generators on the Matriarch. There's 3 of them. use those as extra input knobs for other things going in there. And then I'm going to use, because it's a hybrid system, I've got Ableton here, I've got big synths as well as the modular. I'm going to be using some orchestration that I can control stuff from the push as well, right? So it's like a balancing act of what you want. How much control do you want in performance versus how much advanced functionality do you want? You know, you decide. Right? Let's see. Buying modules can be expensive. We're going to put that on a t-shirt and then put a little subtitle under it. Understatement of the year. Buying modules can be expensive. Yes, that is true. Labis? Hello. Let's see. Modular Grid. Modular Grid's a great tool, but it's also like a drug habit. Let's see. David Higgins, welcome back. Making modules from kits is also expensive. So I have one module in here that I built, and it's an attenuator, a passive 3-channel attenuator that I got basically a D grade on because it's only 66% working. Only 2 of the 3 attenuation channels works. I screwed something up, right? Or burnt something. That's the extent of my ability to solder. Like, give you a passive module with like 6 connections and maybe 4 out of the 6 will work. All right. Let's see. What else do we have in here? Yeah, buy secondhand if you can. Yeah. Use VCV Rack. That's probably the safest thing to do. Although, as talked to Raider Rich, I'm pretty sure VCV was his gateway to hardware modular. Let's see, plenty of free sequencer modules. Yeah, you've got options in software for sure. In my case, says I don't want to dive into modular because I'm suffering at gas, so I promised myself not to buy any hardware before I made a respectable tune in VCV Rack. That's a good goal. That's nice. Nice. All right. I'm gonna make some noise. Let's see. Let's bring this down. So I've got a PPG behind the wall there. Doing the string pad. Get them to do a little bit more too, a little longer sequences. One thing on the push you got to be careful of using this control surface of the push. I've got a buddy, Ben Allman. He does this. He's got this act called The Entire Robot. It's like a jazz funk modular synth bass thing. And he likes the push, except that the pitch bend strip is over here. So if you're playing these low notes and you're not paying attention, your finger will rest on the strip. Pitch bend out, and you won't realize it. Thought it was Gremlins for a minute. This stuff reminds me of watching Cosmos on PBS as a kid with Carl Sagan. Trancey. And I don't mean trance the genre, meaning I'm starting to fade away. Got to come up with some way for you guys to give me some kind of physical feedback where my watch taps or something, because I might float off and like do a Stevie Wonder or something like that. I shouldn't bitch on jazz. I like jazz. I shouldn't say that every time I make a mistake, it's jazz. A lot of time playing EVE Online 10 years ago, and that chord change was probably too fast for EVE Online soundtrack, but if I put it in pulse stretch and then spread it out over the course of about 5 minutes, that might sound like EVE soundtrack. So we'll do a little Jar-esque stuff. need foot pedals so I can change the note without having to stop what I'm doing here and go over to here. So. Yeah, I love that bass too. I've been playing that bass for like 10 years. Hearts for EVE Online from Rich. Knew that was coming. That was bait. Let's see. Jarre. Yeah, many hearts. Yeah, for sure. Jean-Michel Jarre. Who are my favorites? Okay, who do I listen to? So if you go to the Synth Seeker channel, there's a playlist of our favorite like music, right? And it's not we, it's sort of the Discord. We all contributed to it. But in there very prominently, Jean-Michel Jarre, Vangelis, Larry Fast, or Synergy. There are others, both old stuff and new stuff, so it's fun. Throw in some More of the World sounds. You're going to need to wear diapers. Okay. Let's see. Run the whole lot through an electro-harmonics phaser. Yeah, for sure. I like phasers. There's one running right now. I'm actually partial to Univibe. That is my favorite pedal effect of all time, is Univibe, because it's a real subtle effect and it's kind of like a phaser but kind of not. And believe it or not, the boutique makers make a bunch, but like the major manufacturers, there aren't that many Univibes floating out there. But there are lots of old ones, but there are not a lot of contemporary ones. So TC Electronics makes one called the it's green. I can't remember. It's okay. It's not great. All right, let's see. Robophonic. Hey man, sounds awesome. Can you play a borrowed chord outside of a key with your setup? Absolutely. Depends on what you want to do. Here in the box stuff, absolutely. Since I'm sequencing and I'm constrained to a scale in here, not right now. I can change the scale to be, so I can change the scales by voltage to change root and mode, or I could just put it in chromatic and then totally you can absolutely pull stuff out of the key and bring it in. On the matriarch as well, you can, except the matriarch right now is controlling the modular's root. And so because the modular is constrained to a key and a mode right now, it's in like C minor, if I play something that isn't C minor, the modular snaps it, quantizes it into the scale. So yeah. And then here, absolutely, right, you can do whatever you want. Let's see. What else do we have? Now, fade in light percussion. Everyone always asks. This happened in almost every, well, not every stream, but I get asked that a lot. I get that comment a lot on the stream recordings. People are like, okay, now you just need to bring in a beat. And I will. I got a whole month, right? So, and it's going to probably come from the box. I've got a TR-8S over there, but I'm going to just do it in here. I like a little more cinematic stuff, but it'll get around to it. It's coming. It's coming. So, I'm glad you like the bass. Hey, Jeremy. Thanks for showing up. Quattro Bahina. Nice to meet you. Muriel. I'm really bad at like saying everyone's names because the chat's going by relatively fast. So, but the bass is good. If you check the community posts, I posted a video like a year ago on how to make this bass sound. You can totally just go make it yourself. It's a bunch of VSTs stacked together, some effects, some processing. There's a video on it. Let's see. Is there a Patreon? There is. The Patreon's just a gate for the Discord. So if you want to get in the Discord, it's $1 a month on the Patreon. I'm not shilling. So what we do is in the middle of the summer every year, we take whatever money's accrued and we give it away to one of the members. Or if we get, right now it's large enough that I might actually split it in half, give it away to 2 members. They're just chosen randomly from people who are active and who opt in. Yeah, if you look at the descriptions of any of the main videos, not the streams, there's usually a little link in there about the Patreon. feel free to join us. It's a bunch of middle-aged guys doing synth stuff. And we're not saying you can't be outside that demographic because it's a bell curve, right? It's so everyone's welcome, right? The rules are really clear. It's like we're here to talk about synths, so don't leave your rage about everything that's rageable on the internet or in the world at the door. We just want to talk about synths, and that's what it's for. So you're welcome to join us if you want. Let's see. Synergy. Yep, TD, Schulze, Kraftwerk, for sure. Echogenetic. Univibe has a bit extra pulse in the phase. It pumps more than it flows. Yeah, so Univibe works best with a specific kind of timbre, right? It really works well on things like e-piano, which you can use in Berlin School. But stuff like, I like it on bass. Bass. So, try it. See what it's all about. Let's see. 45 minutes and it feels like I just started. I'm probably going to go an hour. So only because it's January, I don't want to burn out because it's only day 7. When January's over, I think I'm going to do weekend streams and then just do videos during the week. So we'll see what happens. And the duration of those will be due to mood, right? We can make a Dune reference there about mood. Who wants to make extra points, which are worth nothing, to anyone who can give me the quote from Dune, Frank Herbert's book Dune, about moods. What are moods for? There's a challenge for you. Let's see. Chris Squire is key in my development. Quattro Pagina is the name of a Gundam character. So I love anime, but I never watched Gundam. So I'm currently reading Frieren, if you know what that is. If you don't worry about it. Christmas manga I got. 62 middle-aged or over. 62 is middle-aged, right? The ends of the curve are teenagers and centenarians. Okay, we don't care. Okay, Stoker. Hey, man. Also Thanes. Good. Checking in from the break. Nice. Welcome. Let's see. Citizen. Yeah. Middle age is the rearview mirror. So rearview mirror, good thing about that, right? I watched some movie as a kid about racing, and it was one of those silly race movies from the 1950s where, they had to race across America to Las Vegas and, hilarity ensued. But there was a character who was an F1 driver, and they hired him because he was an F1 driver, and they thought he would help them win the race. And the very first, he was just batshit crazy. And the scene where we meet him, he reaches into the car and tears the rearview mirror off of the windshield and throws it behind him and turns to the people who hired him, and he goes, "What is behind us is of no consequence." Right? So that's how I feel about rearview mirrors for sure. Let's see. Men who need to pee at least once every 30 minutes. Yeah, that's the demographic, Rich. Yeah, for sure. If you leave messages on the Discord around 3 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, I will answer them then because that's when I get up to pee. So, for sure. Let's see. Adri's like, where's my diaper? Yep. Okay. All right. Enough old guy jokes. We're all various ages that are old enough. Ignis, you got it. Right. Way to go, man. Mood's a thing for cattle or love play, for sure. You win. Ignis gets some points there, unless someone beat him to it and I missed it. Echogenetic is your modular up on Modular Grid. It is, but it's not up to date. I'll update it and I'll post it on the YouTube public area. I'll post a link to it. It's not... so my modular is... Because this is a hybrid system, my modular is sequencers, okay, and a little modulation. There's an envelope. I've got a maths over here, something like a maths. Got a Behringer Abacus. Had to buy one to try it, and it's great. If you want a maths but you can't afford one, go get a Behringer Abacus because it's exactly the same. And the top bank is just oscillators and filters and a little modulation. I don't have any effects in Eurorack. It's just sound generation and sound control. It all comes out into this interface, which runs into the box. I'm running it into Ableton. Every voice gets its own track in Ableton, and effects are done in Ableton. And we synchronize MIDI and the Eurorack together so that sync delays work in Ableton and they follow, they match the the analog clock. And then I have a hybrid system, basically. So I can play the push. I can eventually control things in the modular. I'll be able to do modulation from the push. That's the goal. We illustrated today that we can do pitch changes, change the pattern, the roots. So that's today's development. I couldn't do this before today. I've been working on it. But I like synths. I collect, right? So we've got actual hardware synths as well. A bunch of stuff in the box. There's the third wave behind there doing this tone. Right. So I like a hybrid system. I have gone the DAWless route, and it's good. I like it. I've got a little DAWless rig I perform out with that consists of a Launchpad Pro Mark III as the brain and the play surface, and a Nordlead A1 rack that does 4 voices and the 4 sequencer channels of the Launchpad. Each one controls one of the voices of the Nord, and then a TR-8S next to it, and the Nord just runs into the TR-8S. We use that for beats and Master Effects, and that's the thing. And it's great. It fits in a single canvas duffel bag. It's easy to carry. I don't have to screw with it. That's my DAWless rig. The studio is the studio, right? And I've had it so that it's like entirely in the box and everything just runs into interfaces, and I control everything from the computer and can just drop a track and control a synth and never have to actually physically touch a synth unless I want to program it. I would do patch design hands-on the synth, but I would do composition in the box. That works, but it gets boring. Not boring. It becomes a chore to go in. It's like, oh, I got to turn everything on. Right? Get it all set up, make sure the routing's good, tune everything, and then sit down. And by that time, I don't want to make music. So this is a mix. It's hybrid in that the modulars here. Oh, by the way, every oscillator I have is digital because I don't ever want anything to drift. I hate frickin' drifting oscillators. Drifting a little bit, like emulated drift, great. You want that analog sound? Great. But if I have to come in and retune you because you're a fourth down, you're 300 cents off, or I bumped, due to temperature, or, well, bumping a knob's going to screw it up no matter what. But, due to temperature variance, my wife is going through menopause, so our house is like fluctuating wildly between a hot flash and totally freezing. So it plays hell on analog gear. Believe it or not, the Matriarch and the Sub 37, they stay in tune temperature wise. So count myself lucky. I either got lucky ones or they're just good. But anyway, what am I missing here? Fern, Mood, Happy Sunday, James Cockcroft, Jim Moon, hello. Let's see. My wife approved midlife crisis for sure. Getting back into modular was my Christmas gift for my wife. Stefan, good to see you. Please do a video about all your hardware. I don't like to do that. So I have a lot of hardware, but I don't have a huge amount of hardware. Like, it's all on a sliding scale. So there are people, like Lou Pop, right? Or Andrew Huang. They have all the gear. So, and they've done videos like, let's do a studio tour. I did one of those a year ago, or a couple years back. It's not fun. It just makes me feel bad for someone who's like right out of university and has no money, starving artists. It's like sounds like I'm showing off. But also for someone, who has all the gear, they're like, whatever, so there's not much point in a studio tour. It's not my thing. OB6 is very sensitive to temp, Eric. Okay, good to know. I wanted a Prophet 12 desktop unit, but I heard that there's thermal issues. There were rumors on the net, right? And granted, on the net, people only complain, right? Nobody ever gets online and says, this thing is great, I have no problems with it, right? Everybody's like, it sucks because blah, right? So I'm interested in, I don't own any Dave Smith stuff. I own no sequential synths. I've got some virtual representations, and I want one, and I'm thinking about Take 5, maybe this summer. But I do like Prophet 12 as well, so I don't know. Dr. Cynthia is leaving. So long. Thank you for coming. Studio tour videos are a thing. Yeah, I know. It's not my thing. All right, if people got to go, that's fine. I got to wind up too. What time is it? We've been doing this about an hour. let's bring it on down. So let me totally masturbate with the bass for a minute, because this just feels good. So, hey, thanks everybody for showing up. Really appreciate it. Streaming Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Weekends, this time slot seems to work well for me. Feel free to, come and go as you please. I appreciate I like talking to people like me. So that's my entire goal on YouTube. I'm not trying to grow the channel. I do this stuff because I like doing it, and I share it because I just like to share, hey, look at this fun thing I did. And if people see it and they hang out because they're like, I do that stuff too, and I like that stuff too, chances are we probably overlap and we could be friends. So show up if you want, and if it's not your thing, that's cool. Move on. Not a big deal. As always, thanks for spending time with me here at the Synth Seeker live stream. And my name is Luke, and I will talk to you guys later. If you missed any questions or anything like that, put them in the comments. I do answer all the comments because I got some free time. It's Sunday. All right. Thanks. And I'll see you later.